What's going on, people? I'm excited to say that I have passed my CISSP certification exam on the first try, on the very first try. And I feel very good right now. I feel great, honestly, because I've been studying for this exam and this curriculum for like I've been focused on studying for the last 3 months almost. But of course, I've been in the game a lot longer than that. So I just want to share a few tips and just talk about my experience so far getting this cert. And so I'm still provisional right now, but that just means the ink got to drop. But we coming, definitely coming soon. All right, so I'm gonna jump in. Oh, all right. So I'm gonna talk about how I even came up with the idea to go pursue this certification, what my studying and preparation looked like how did I get to actually pass, what did I do in the meantime to make sure I had all the information down packed. I'm gonna go over my exam week, what I did to prep final steps, plus exam day, what did I do to get my mind right. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what I feel right now before I finish up with what this really means now. What's next with this new cert? So let's jump in for how I prepared. I don't know if this color is great. Let me see. You got other options. Let's see. It's a little better. How I got ready. So before I come on here acting like I spent only 3 months studying for this certification and studying this exam, and that's how I passed, let me not say that. That's not true. I have First of all, I have 6 years of experience in IT, cybersecurity, and software engineering. So a lot of the concepts in the different domains that were being tested, I already had a little bit of experience in all of those domains, hands on too, not just reading about it, not just listening to videos. I have actually deployed software. I have actually hardened containers and cloud environments that were deploying real life applications to. I have messed up with some of my apps and leaked, I want to say PII, but leaked information that was not accurate. So from an auditability standpoint, I messed up there. And I have listened to a lot of the discussions and some of the decisions that happen regarding cybersecurity in one of the most regulated environments and industries that there are. So I already been jumped in the water. Now it's really just all right. I'm going to focus my knowledge and experience on this specific exam with these domains in the way that they structured it. That was the main difference. Plus, I have a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity, or I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and information security. And then my minor was in security management. So, again, even from back then, I had been thinking about cybersecurity and understanding what that meant from a technical standpoint. This exam more, I would say, prepared me, and the content for it prepared me not only to understand some of the concepts in cybersecurity more deeply. Like I can actually say I understand what every, I won't say every bit of vocabulary means in the realm of cybersecurity, but a lot of them that I had only been partially familiar with before, I have been able to go in deep to know, oh, this is what that word means. I have the definition. So when I hear something like a VLAN, when I hear a subnet, when I hear a CIDR range, I understand exactly what that means. Because not only have I had hands-on playing with it, I had to look in the textbook and look up the definition to know what it really meant when you are discussing it amongst peers that may not be doing the work themselves. So that's another thing. And I spent the last 3 months actually reading uh, the the official study guide. I have been taking practice exams. I listened to podcasts and videos that talked about the content inside of the CISSP and all of those 8 domains. And I asked people that had way more experience than I did exactly what certain concepts meant, especially in the roles and games that we play in, the projects, trying to connect what I was doing day to day to what I was studying and learning about, and then asking people with experience and knowledge exactly how to make that connection, how to make that jump. So I had a bunch of context that has really just been I've been sitting in. I've been sitting in and just learning about and absorbing for at least 6 years, but more specifically in the last 3 months. So there was a lot that went into me being ready on the actual test day. And speaking of the test day, for my exam prep, like how did I make sure, even though I had all the experience, I had the background, I know I did the work and I studied, and even with my studying, I made sure that every week that I read at least one domain's chapter. So in the study guide, there are like 21 chapters, but three of those chapters might be for a specific domain. I made sure that I read as much as I could on one or all of those chapters inside of a week. And that was on my commutes to and from work. That was after work. And whenever I got a chance to just sit down and read, I would make sure I read as much as I could inside of that week. And I did that for all 8 domains for about 8 weeks. I might have messed up on like one domain or one week where I think I didn't read as much as I needed to. And I ended up going back afterwards to make sure I got more of that information. And then the podcast, like on my commutes. So part of my commute is on a train where I could read. The other part is me on the bike. The bike part, I will listen to the podcast, listen to the content about the domain. And then on the train, in the cars, I'll make sure I read as much as I could. And so that definitely helped. And then for my last two or uh, basically 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, I ended up doing a practice exam to make sure I was really ready to sit for the length of time that I needed to sit to do the exam and actually practice the actual exam style, not just the concepts and the content, but understanding what is the run and show. What am I actually going to do while I'm in that room for 3 hours in front of the computer and having to sit here? I haven't done a test like that in at least 5 years. So I had to make sure my mind was ready to actually sit down and do the work like that. And then for this last week, so exam week. So I actually took it easy for this last week. Like I already knew I was going to take the exam. I already knew that the difference between a week ago and today wasn't going to be some profound shift in how I understood cybersecurity and the content. I needed to be ready last week. And this week was really more like, all right, just make sure you don't hurt yourself. Make sure you stay focused on the structure of what you're about to do. But it's no time to stress. There's no reason to stress, right? It's not the point to go in this test and wondering if you want to pass or like all of the challenges you might have in your mind about thinking about it. It's really read a few pages, listen to a few more of the videos to make sure any gaps are covered. I actually took a break from the practice exam, so I didn't do any type of practice questions this week. I don't think I did. I probably did. So I didn't do a practice exam, but inside of the study guide, there were a few study questions. I did do a few of those, maybe like 10 or 20 of those after one of the chapters that I read. And then, yeah, for the most part, I was taking a break. I actually started on a new project, not something for work, but something I'm working on. I'm figuring out how to host an LLM inside of AWS EC2 instances. And I've been figuring, well, so I'm going to provision the resources with Terraform. So I was spending a few days, the last couple of days, just getting that module together, making sure I could configure it. I got it set up where I could deploy the instance now with Terraform and destroy it. So that was good. Now I'm looking into the pricing to make sure that I don't bankrupt myself trying to run some of these large LLMs, these large models. Some of them need like 70 gigabytes of space. That type of storage that you need is not expensive, but it's a cost. It's something that you got to keep in mind. And even the instance itself, it has to be strong enough and big enough with enough GPUs to actually get the results and squeeze the juice out of that LLM versus just trying to give it a couple CPUs and you don't really get what you need to get out of it. So I've been playing around with that for the last couple of days, not thinking too deeply about these 8 domains. And then on the actual exam day this morning, I started my day with a run. So I always run on Saturdays, or for the most part, I run on Saturdays, do a few miles. I did 3 miles this morning, actually 4 miles. And then, mm, yeah, I did 4 miles. And then I ran two and a half of them. I took a break in the middle, do a little walk, and then my last mile was for the most part just a little walk to get me back home. So had some motion in the day, make sure I felt good, body right, body healthy. And then I had breakfast with my wife. We had a nice, calm breakfast, oatmeal with the eggs and the sausage. Just something to, keep my strength up, get my energy right, make sure I was ready for the exam. And then it was raining today, so it actually was a cab drive into Jersey City to make sure I could take the exam. It was wet out there, but they didn't send me no calls or no texts or emails saying that it got canceled. So I knew I had to make it work, regardless of rain, sleet, or snow. I ain't USPS, but whatever gotta go. You understand me? So still have to go. And then I actually been dealing with a few issues with some of my rentals. And this is all a sidebar. I'm just telling you what's going on this week. But had a few issues with the rentals, had to do some maintenance this morning. Or maintenance had to get done. I didn't specifically have to do it myself. Hired someone who could do it way better than me. And he took care of it, but it was still something on my mind I had to coordinate before my exam. I was making even during the exam, I was making sure like, oh man, I hope everything all good there. My phone off. Nobody can't call me. But it all worked out well. So that was like this last week, making sure I was mentally ready. But again, it wasn't a reason for me to stress. I had to be ready. I said I was ready last week. Now it was really just time to perform. And then actual being inside of the test room, it was pretty calm. Like I said, I haven't done a test in a few years. And then even this test, I haven't done any type of cert where it was like me sent a test in front of a computer inside of a quiet room, no distractions. That was very new, but it was good. It wasn't too hard. I did get a little tired. I would say early. Like I was tired at like question 50, like nodding off tired, and even realized that at question 50, I only had 100 more minutes left. So I mean, I spent almost 2 hours, yeah, not even almost 2 hours, like an hour and a half. Spent an hour and a half just on 50 questions. Then I realized I can't take this long for the rest of these questions. So I had to start moving way faster for the next 100 questions, what I thought was going to be 100 questions, to make sure I passed without the time running out on me. And so I started moving a lot faster, trying to take no more than 1 minute per question. But it was still pretty hard. Some of the questions I had to like look at them, sit, read again and again and again and again. It was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the answer is. I think it's this one, or I think it's not that one, but what's the answer? So having to do that process of elimination, that took a few reads, it took a few tries. Eventually, I started just saying my first answer is gonna be the best answer, and I gotta go with it, and spending less time or as little time as possible, really second guessing myself on those questions and those answers. So I sped through a little bit more. Uh, Other than that, it was cool. I didn't have any real issues with the computer, with The exam itself, everything was pretty smooth, and I got in and got out. When I got to question 108, I was ready because I like question 99. I looked. I had been looking at the question I was on at that point to make sure I was keeping on my time. But I realized I was like, oh man, at 99, I was like, I don't know if I go farther than this. I don't know, but I could end at 100 too. I heard that before, but I'm like, either way, I don't know what the result is gonna be. So I was a little like, oh man. And then I hit enter at 100 and it said, you're done. And I was like, oh man, I don't know, but it's time to see what we did. So getting out of there, they definitely security is heavy. They definitely scanned my glasses to make sure there was no technology or digital signals coming from it. They definitely made me check on my pockets, turn my pockets out. You can't have anything or you can't bring water. Like it was definitely structured from that standpoint. So make sure you prepare, make sure you have all your IDs, make sure you got something comfortable, like have all your things in order. So it was pretty calm from that perspective. And then I got out of there, got my paper, because they hand it to you face down, like this, face down, looking at you the whole time, like, have a good day. So now I'm like, oh man, I obviously opened it right in front of him. Like he could have just gave it to me face forward. Like I opened it, I took it, stepped a foot away, did like this, looked at him, looked at the exam results and was like, oh, okay, okay. Excited now. We good now. Felt very good, very, very, very good. But end up going on a walk over there. It was pretty nice at that point, right? Rain done passed. I passed. Everything was good. Everything was golden. So I was just enjoying the little walk after my 3 hours sitting down for that test. And then now it really just means one, what I expected to mean is more funds, right? I got the CISSP. I have an extra credential to say that I really understand these cybersecurity domains. You can trust me a little bit more, and therefore I can have a little bit more responsibility. But with great power and responsibility comes big checks. That's my expectation. That's my mind. I'm gonna be honest. Come on. Why else do we challenge ourselves, right? But I definitely think that is the case. And it's not just because I got the credential that the price will be going up. It's because I continue to keep learning and growing. And with everything that I learn, with every new development, every new adaptation that I make, every new technology that I play with, every new concept that I master, I become a better service provider. I become a better engineer. I become a better leader, a better partner, a better team member, all of these things. So the price will continue to go up. It's just a law of nature for us, like physics, gravity. It happens, like electromagnetism, right? It's inevitable at that point. But another thing to remember that I'm very aware of, and that is very important for all of you who are going to go for your certs or your CISSP soon or in the future, is that now that I am aware of all of the different areas that matter from a cybersecurity perspective and the different industries where this matters the most, and the different, I say industries because manufacturing, power and utilities, financial services, like all of these industries, healthcare, that where cybersecurity is paramount to like a real human need. I need to understand how important that is. If I go into those environments and I'm, asked to do some type of work, I have to provide a good amount of due diligence, a good amount of due care. I need to make sure I'm being mindful of the power and the responsibility that I'm being given, and that will be trusted to me, entrusted to me, especially because people will see that I have this extra credential, this extra experience, and so on. So something I have to be very careful of when I say yes to a role, to make sure I actually have the bandwidth to do it. I have the drive to do well and succeed in those roles, because you don't want to go wrong in cybersecurity. Like every mistake can have pretty severe consequences for users, for businesses, for investors, for countries, even. So, got to keep that in mind. But I definitely am excited to take the next step. Like now that I've passed the exam was one thing. Now I have to actually go play. Actually have to go use the knowledge that I gained to go do something. I have to, make it worthwhile to myself, make it worthwhile to my clients and the people that, are asking me to do this thing. But I'm very excited to get started, to build on that, and we're gonna get in there very soon. Mm. Signing out. Peace out.